Ladies and gentlemen, Gabuda Inquires here. In today's video, we're going to be taking a little dive into my past, occult-wise, and I'm going to be going over basically magical systems that I used to partake in and whatnot, and where I just came from overall as an occultist. Back in the day, excluding a lot of baggage and whatnot, that basically served as a gateway into me actually taking the occult more seriously. I when I actually got to that point, I started basically dealing with the Enochian side of things. Primarily just attempting to work with the Enochian spirits and overall just work off of the system alone itself. And whatever spirits that I would like to deal with and whatnot, I would basically just deal with them there primarily through the Enochian Holy Table. And I would also deal with the Goetia aspect of things as well, such as the magical circle and the triangle of art and so on and so forth. And those two systems were literally just those two systems were just my primary source of all occult interactions back then. Back when I actually just really just started taking things more seriously. But as time progressed and whatnot, as we fast forward to through time, I basically discovered planetary magic, and I started off with planetary magic from and basically inter how do I say this? Basically, just integrating it within my occult practices in total, and with the discovery of planetary magic, everything just came into place because I wasn't into astrology back then during that little Enochian slash Goetia phase that I had going on back when I was more younger. It was more during my when I reached adulthood when I actually started basically integrating everything and whatnot. Because in general, everything is connected with one another. Literally, everything feeds off of one another. Everything is coherent. So planetary magic and the celestial bodies and their zodiac signs connect with the spirits and their correspondence, as well as the Goetia and the Enochian system work off of specific elements and the spirits therein deal with specific signs and so on and so forth and whatnot, depending on the system itself. And yeah, no, I simply just once I got to it with planetary magic, everything just came into place. Everything was made whole, and that was when I actually was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see the connection and whatnot. And I was aware with planets and everything and whatnot, but I wasn't fond of it. I was just like, nah, I'm not really interested in planetary magic, and I basically just skipped that whole segment. And it wasn't until way later, after I started dealing with a couple of spirits and whatnot as a wimpy occultist, when I actually successfully mastered planetary magic after someone showed it to me. And yeah, the rest was history. From there, I met my beloved Vice Lord Raphael, who was actually back then my main patron, my first patron. Not my first ever patron, but let's just say my first legit patron. And literally within that same week, I started dealing with Venus, and then I fell in love with not literally, but in a manner of speaking, I fell in love with Archangel Haniel, who rules over Venus, and I also made him my since Raphael was my number one, I made Hania my number two, my vice patron at the time. And then lo and behold, when I basically just got down to my roots and I got into astrology and I learned my character traits, and I learned what sign I fall under, what planet I fall under, the energy that I radiate, me being radiating Martian energy since I'm Aries. I basically just I was like, yeah, no, I want to get more down to my home roots and whatnot. So I started working with Mars, and I started working with my patron Lord Samaya, and oh boy, that's a moment that I will never forget. Honestly, the huge impression that Lord Samaya left on me was just, it was just, nothing can compete with that. I've dealt with a huge fair share, a huge load of spirits. Okay, I don't keep track, but I've dealt with a lot of spirits, and no one takes the cake in relation to the way that me and Salmaya's first encounter felt, and the way how everything played out, and so on and so forth. The impression that he's laid on me and whatnot, everything. It was just beautiful. So after getting down to my home roots, so to speak, I, as well as me falling in love with basically Salmaya's nature and him being dualistic in nature, being an evil archangel but not fallen in any way, shape, or form. He's celestial, but due to Gebera being what it is and whatnot, you know, I was really, really, violent, destructive, and so on and so forth. Very aggressive in nature and whatnot. Um, and but aggressive and negative and whatnot in a necessary sense. Then yeah, all of that shit just I was eating all of that shit up at the time, and yeah, I basically made him my main patron, my first patron, due to me being Aries. If I was anything else, then let's just say if I was solar in nature, if I corresponded to Leo, then I would have left my vice patron as my I'm sorry, I would have left Raphael. Yeah, basically, I would have left Raphael as my main patron, and so on and so forth. But in general, it doesn't really matter. Okay, numbers don't really matter. These guys, I look at them all the same. I treat them all the same, and so on and so forth. But that was pretty much everything. Now, the reason why I don't want to mention the first literal aspect of my occult ascendance is because it's just nothing more than baggage. It's like the equivalent of mentioning, um, you know, what did you do yesterday? And you go along the lines of saying, oh, I woke up, I brushed my teeth, I scrubbed my teeth really hard and nicely, very vigorously, so to speak. I sat on the toilet and I laid down some waste. I flushed it. It's like mentioning literally shit that's not mention worthy. It's like mentioning baggage. So, but I will basically just touch upon the gist of it. I got into the occult via the Bible. But not only was the Bible my gateway and whatnot. Well, yeah, primarily the Bible was literally the gateway to everything because I was really, really in love with King Solomon and his background and everything like that. Um, but then slowly after, I basically just, I came across a bunch of occult sources online and whatnot, just these bullshit sources. And I started basically just feeding off of everything and basically just writing down the rituals that I would find and I would literally execute it. And that was, let's just say, I did not have a great time around those times. Um, looking back at everything in hindsight, I really suffered as a result of me just executing these random rituals that I will find online. But what do you expect? You being a young dumbass, I literally started this shit when I was like, let's just say like 17. It wasn't until when I hit 18 years old when I really just got down to the nitty gritty of the occult, which is the Enochian and the Goetia era, the Lesser Key of Solomon era for me. And but yeah, me being young and dumb and whatnot, I went with everything, and it wasn't until later on when I noticed that, oh, the reason why my life is so fucked up. Well, not necessarily the main primary reason of the grand scheme of things, but let's just say an aspect of the reason why my life was so fucked up before is because all of these negative forces that I was inviting into my life, and them pulling the strings and doing this and that and the third, and I had no astral protection and whatnot, or anything like that. I didn't give spirits offerings. I used to do a bunch of fucking stupid shit, but literally a fucking kid just getting into the occult, not knowing any better. Obviously, it was a given. But way past all of that shit now. And yeah, that was pretty much the gist of my, where I came from as an occultist. Um, I also something that I forgot to mention as well is during the Enochian slash Goetic phase that I had, when I actually started, taking the occult more seriously. I also got into the Ars Almadel and different chapters of the Lesser Key of Solomon as a whole, as well as dealing with pentacles like the greater keys of Solomon, and and just stuff of that nature as well. I was really just primarily working off of the Lesser Key of Solomon book, the whole book. Almost, let's just say almost the majority of all the chapters that are in that book. And I would also just mix it with my Enochian practices and one. Not literally mix it, but I would just execute them side by side while I'm also dealing with Golden Dawn based rituals and whatnot, Golden Dawn based exercises and stuff of that nature as well. And yeah, I'm also going to be showcasing a lot of my old school occult implements that I have in the background right now, stuff that I literally haven't pulled out in eons, man. I mean, this, to say that this video is nostalgic is an understatement, but I'm gonna go ahead and just show you guys everything so that you guys can get the gist of everything that I'm explaining right now. Hold on one second. So yeah, over there, as you can see, that is this is the Triangle of Arts. I've shown this in my how to develop astral senses video and build clairvoyances and stuff like that. How to execute the middle pillar. That video I showcased that this Triangle of Arts system in that video. This is something that you can purchase online, and I won't mention specifically where you can where you can pick it up online. But you can do so easy peasy. Just search up Triangle of Arts system online, and you'll find the website with the seller and everything else in between. But this is really nice, really nice. The only downside to this Triangle of Our system is that I had to basically glue a whole basically a round piece of iron to the bottom of it so it can act as a base, a stabilizing system. Because without it, this shit would literally just tip over because the crystal ball is just so heavy. And you can basically set it up in a way that that the crystal ball's weight itself will make everything tip over. But the way that I just have it, I just had to do it. But in general, this crystal ball weighs more than this whole triangle of ours. So, in all honesty, I recommend that if you get something like this, you simply just you basically just make something happen in terms of forming a foundation for this. Moving on to my Enochian holy table, or better said, the holy the holy table of the Enochian, with the seven ensigns of creation in order, basically set up around it. I made this whole thing by myself. I painted everything in desperation because I just didn't really want to purchase one, It would basically, back at the time, I wanted to create everything on myself. I could basically purchase everything, not literally everything, because the majority of implements that you need in order to execute stuff by the book, because back then I was a by the book occultist and whatnot as well. You would really be seeing yourself spending around the lines of, let's just say like almost damn near like $10,000 on occult implements just so you can do everything by the book. You have to get the cask and you have to get the fucking the Solomon, the King Solomon sword, or the Solomonic sword. You have to get this, you have to get that. It's just ridiculous. But not only that, but the reason why I simply just didn't want to buy most of the stuff that I would utilize in my practices is because it would basically just lose its astral integrity. I can basically buy, for example, I can basically just buy something like this holy table right here and just have a spirit consecrated and actually make it do its job, make it work accordingly, but it's just impractical. I would more than likely sit there and I would go through the troubles of creating everything if it means that the integrity of what I'm trying to create and my intent is pure and imbued onto said item, whether it be a seal, whether it be a pinnacle, something of that nature. But in general, I'd rather create everything, which is why I don't really which is why when it comes to making a seal, I don't print everything out. I literally just create everything by hand and whatnot. So yeah, this is the Enochian holy table that I've made. Everything was literally painted and whatnot. I've also made this. I've also showcased this as well in a, let's just say, I think it was in the Astro Senses video. So yeah, that is that. And everything was scribbled on. Well, everything was not necessarily neatly written, better said, okay, because I was just I was in a rush to get everything done, but my intent was pure, my intent is there, and everything actually worked successfully, which is a given, as long as you don't have to be the best artist in the world in order to basically get stuff done if you want to make it yourself. Moving on to my tools. Oh boy, my old school tools. My fire one. Yeah, that's. This is my Thoth Tarot one. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how you call it. It's been eons, man. It's been years since I've named all of these tools and I've seen these. I mean, it's ridiculous. Really, really nostalgic. But yeah, my wand of double power that I made before a while back. And my water cup that I painted. Oh boy. Oh boy, what a throwback. And these are miscellaneous seals that I forgot the name to, but this is obviously just a zodiacal seal with the holy name of God written on there, and I think this says mm, yeah, I think this simply just says Yahweh if I'm not mistaken, or I think it says Yod He Vav He, but this is an S. Um I think it says Yeshaya or something like that. Um I can't really read Hebrew properly. I would literally have to have a book in my hand, or I would have to basically translate it via many different occult means. But more or less, I can dissect Hebrew. But let's just say within like a first grade level, not even a first grade level, a toddler level. Moving on is this is the seven branched menorah or the seven branched candlestick, something like that. But these are more like Enochian, Golden Dawn based implements and whatnot. Um, Stuff that let's just say that is not really common. Honestly, you would mostly only find this being utilized in like Golden Dawn circles and whatnot. And as you can see, this is what I used to basically have them on altars and whatnot back then, because I used to just have one solitary altar where I would do everything on. And I spilled some candle wax on the side of this, being reckless back then. And moving on, this is my occult suitcase with a bunch of different occult implements inside of it, different seals, pentacles, you name it. Literally everything is in here. This is the seal of Arbitel, if I'm not mistaken, or what do you call this? Oh, the Olympic seal. Yeah, the Olympic seal with Olympic spirits on them, the archangel names written on there. Um, Planetary names written um in their Latin variation. Well, not everything. Luna and Sol classifies as that, but everything else is pretty much English. Yeah, you have phallic there, everything. This is all stuff that I used to utilize back then. This is also another Enochian implement that I would basically utilize with this, and I would wear that every time that I would basically execute a an Enochian summoning, basically. This is my magical circle that I used to utilize, and it looks relatively small, but believe it or not, due to basically just the time when I made this, I was really just financially unstable. So due to basically everything, I basically just settled down with drawing the magical circle itself, and I would literally just stand on this. Literally, I would just stand on it and execute everything. But I really don't. I really highly you know how do I say this? I highly advise against utilizing something like this. I've mentioned this numerous times. You don't need a magical circle. But this video is purely just to showcase where I've came from as an occultist. Next is this is the Great Seal of Solomon. This is on the book of the three magical books of Solomon. This is on the front cover of it. So if you search up the three magical books of Solomon, you'll see that this is the cover of it, or I think that's the name of the book. I think it's something else, something like that. But yeah, that, and it's utilized for various different means. You have a bunch of different spirit seals in here, spirits that I used to work with, or spirits that I would like to work with in the future. Beliet, Solar Seal, Lucifer, so on and so forth, Mikael. Um, you have I forgot what this is called. I think this is the Star of Solomon, or the Seal of Solomon, the Pentagram of Solomon, something along those lines. But this is something else that I advise utilizing, because this is most of these seals are primarily utilized to basically coerce spirits and whatnot, and that's definitely not good. Absolutely not. Um, this is another magical circle, but I made this primarily so that I can utilize it with that. Um, Basically just set it under it and put these triangles under it, under the drawn one, and basically just execute everything. What else? This is a paper triangle of arts, and because I was actually going to literally make it, so I traced everything out so that I can this was basically just like a, just think of it as a trace, as a mold basically, so that I can make I can set this up on a cardboard a slab of cardboard, and basically just cut it up and just transform it into a triangle of art back then. But I just didn't get to. I ended up just purchasing this because I saw it more practical. Obviously, it's a lot more practical. What else? More spirit seals. This is a Venusian pentacle. This is Sorath. Yeah, Sorath. Oh boy, I almost forgot about this guy. So on and so forth. Just a lot of stuff. I've also attempted to utilize uh barbed wire to make goetic seals, because I've also seen that this is feasible. I've seen individuals basically attempt this, and in all honesty, yes, you can do it, but in general, it's not really necessary. You can easily just, if you're that down bad that you don't have anything, you can literally just skip utilizing the seal and just, just focus your intent on the spirit and just work with it, just like that. Just invoke it. Nothing more, nothing less. And anything else? No, that is pretty much all. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, man, that a lot of seals specifically from guys that I used to work with. Here's Salasash. I shot a video on him recently. Um, oh yeah, Asmodee, so on and so forth. This is another Enochian seal that I highly, highly, highly advise not to utilize. This is another seal to basically coerce spirits, and yeah, no, it's just not good. Shit like that is just not good. Shit like that will literally just get you either, uh, get you in a straight jacket, or literally just killed in a straight like that. In all honesty, and this is a layout of the middle pillar that I made a long time ago, and that is pretty much all. In all honesty, I think. Yeah, and this is something that basically, oh yeah, this is my layout of planetary magic back then, the way that I used to do it before. The sign of Osiris, slain and risen. El, the sign of the morning of Isis. Oh yeah, oh boy, I remember all of this. And this is the LBRP, or the LBPR. How you can say it in any other way. It still means the same thing. The opening, the holy names and everything like that. Yeah. So this is literally everything that I used to utilize, just thrown in a big suitcase, because I primarily, one, don't deal with all of these spirits anymore. I only deal with my patrons. And two, I don't really necessarily need to use any system anymore. I'm like way past all of that at this point. Um, I'm just way past all of that. It's not necessary. When you get to a specific point, within the occult, it's not necessary to utilize physical systems such as, you know, something like this or something like that. It's just completely, it basically makes it so that it's more impractical for you to get by occult wise, because you have to set everything up, you have to utilize it, you have to belittle yourself to utilize a, you know, either a crystal ball or something like that, a magical circle, which literally makes you form astral enemies, because that is completely possible. The same way how you can form enemies physically, you can do so astrally, and so on and so forth. But hold on, let me set my camera back up. Okay. But yeah, that was literally just a you know, that was just a nice little rundown within my I'm sorry. I got distracted and whatnot because there's a, yeah. In any case, yeah, so that's basically just a rundown of all my occult implements from my past. Stuff that I used to utilize that I literally just I stopped utilizing a long time ago. Let's just say years ago. Uh by the time I started working with Salma, I literally started putting all of this shit down. Literally everything that you see here. And primarily I just work off of, you know, my guys' altars, and that is all. Which I will touch upon in a latter video. But yeah, gonna come in due time where I explain literally my guys' altars and their offerings and everything, how much money is on these altars and so on and so forth. But yeah, everything is just purely astral for me. I don't use wands anymore because it's not necessary or anything like that. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys my occult ascension basically, so that you guys get the gist of everything. Um, so yeah, in any case, if you guys have anything to say, feel free to comment down below, and I hope you guys enjoy. That is all. Bye bye.